What is up, YouTube and all my fish keeping friends? How you guys doing out there, Fish Tank Land? This is a completely crazy impromptu video here. Totally just on the fly, not planned out at all. I'm gonna work really hard here to not make it all choppy and crazy. Maybe I should turn some lights on. And it was really cool to see you guys in here. I already got like 10 or 11 people in here. Really awesome. Like I said before, I didn't even plan this. It's not a happy video. This is not a happy thing. I'm really I'm really bummed out. This is unfortunate. And I feel like maybe I've been blessed through the hobby. I don't really have a lot of unfortunate incidents with fish. But Elliot, my brackish water snowflake eel, is very sick right now. And I don't think I'm looking for the camera, so I'm looking at you guys in the eyes. I don't think he's gonna make it. And I've had him for 3 years, and honestly, to me, he's always been in this top tank behind me on my rack out in my living room and like kind of my gallery show space. But it's kind of like a dog, I mean, we all have had those fish, maybe or maybe not, that like a bumblebee, like a puffer fish or a goby or any of those fish that we all know kind of have that character. They've got a face to them, right? And you just they have a character, and that you kind of like create a connection with them, and you can kind of feel like you know what they're thinking or whatnot. And I love this eel. Let me go ahead and turn the camera around. Here he is, right here in front of the camera right now. This is Elliot, my brackish water snowflake eel. This is my only brackish water aquarium. I got him as a rescue. He was at the pet store, and he wasn't. I knew that he wasn't gonna have a good home because I live on a very small island, and a lot of people, I just was like, this thing's gonna end up in some 14-year-old kid's aquarium, in a 10 or 20-gallon aquarium, and they're gonna try to feed him flake food in a freshwater aquarium for who knows how long, until the thing just starves to death and dies, or is overcome from skin issues from being in a freshwater aquarium when it needs the salinity to keep its scaleless body from getting infected. Anyways, this is Elliot, and I love this poor little guy so very, very much. But right now he is suffering from an infection around his anal area. It's literally, there is abscess, there is lesion somewhat from within the anal area, and it is swollen around the outside of it, but this is looking like it's coming from the inside. And it's really hard for me because there's not a lot of people I know that deal with scaleless fish and really have an answer for me. I have noticed that he's breathing a little bit differently than he normally does. He usually has a little bit actually faster breathing, so he's been breathing slower than normal, I feel like. But he seems to still have an appetite. The reason why he's coming out the way he's coming out is because he is hungry. And I fed him yesterday a whole shrimp. I've had him for 3 years, and in captivity, I'm not trying to ignore anybody in the chat. I'm very, very sorry. I'm not trying to ignore anybody in the chat. I'm on my phone. I have no external microphone. So if the audio is crap, that's why. If I'm shaky, that's why I'm on my phone. I really didn't plan on making this video. I just don't know. I don't know how long things are going to last with him. He's actually breathing better right now than he was when I was looking at him earlier. But he has a serious infection at his anal area. You can't see that now because he's obviously, but I don't think I can fix it. This tank, I tested the water last night, and the water is awesome. It's good. The water's good. There's like zero nitrates in this water. And you see he's active and he's got energy, and I really love to see that right now. But if you were to look at his anal area, and if you were to look to see the lesions, it's not like multiple lesions, but it looks like it's like eating him from the inside out. His anal area is the opening is bigger, and you can tell that it's been affected, and there's a little bit of redness on the outside and swelling. And that's the first thing I noticed, is that like his anal area was sticking out a little bit when he was swimming around, and I looked closer and saw a little redness. Part of my thought was maybe he's rubbing on all these rocks that are in here, and the rocks are causing irritation, but it's a real true like lesions. There's something going on internally in his digestive tract inside of his anal. I don't know what to use it, and hopefully these words aren't going to get me demonetized. I don't care if it's demonetized or not, actually, right? But he's always been fed fresh raw shrimp, and he's always had a good appetite. I've had him for 3 years, but the looks of this infection, I've treated him. Last night I treated the whole tank with erythromycin. Lucas, it's good to see you here. I really appreciate it. I had a question for you about this, but I know you don't work a lot with scaleless fish, so I don't know if you have an answer for this situation. I figured erythromycin, out of all the things that I have Genocure, erythromycin, and levamisole are probably the biggest, probably the most powerful medications that I keep in my house/fish room. I am going to do a little bit of a walkthrough here after I talk about him. I'm not trying to dwell on him, but this is really why I wanted to go live. He's like a dog or a cat to me. Like I said, his name is Elliot, named after Elliot, the magic dragon, which is, I think, fitting with his cute little nostrils and everything. But I love this little guy. He has personality. I know he can't see me. I'm trying to focus. I know he can't see me because he's blind as a bat. But when he's looking at you and you're looking at him like this, and I feel like he's looking at me saying, I'm in pain, I'm hurting, help me, daddy, or something like that. It's hard. I mean, I have schools of fish. I have colonies of fish, and one dies and it's no big deal. But when you have that one special fish that has he has a whole tank to himself, and you've had him for years, and it's not something we all know things are going to happen, but I just don't know that I can save him. I don't know that I can heal him. And I know that it looks bad, and it kind of even looks painful to me. I'm sure he's in pain. And you can't see it because he's not darting around the tank. If I acted like I was going to feed him anymore, maybe he would scoot around the tank. I don't even have a shrimp defrosted, or I would feed him some shrimp because I just want him to eat. I fed him last night. He doesn't need to eat every day. An eel like this can actually go months without food. They can fast for a long time. But I was thinking about soaking his food in meds. I was thinking about that, Shelby. Yeah. At this point, I just don't know. You have to see his anal area and see what I'm seeing. And it's not on the outside. It's like from the inside out. Like the damage looks like there's literally lesions, but it's coming from the inside. This damage is not on the outside of his body. So it's just a bummer because I'm good with fish. I think maybe I've just been lucky. I've always had good luck. I have my medications. I rarely have to use them, and I mean, except for QT and things like that. But I just feel like I know that like there's not much else I can do for him, and I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to save him. And that's what sucks, is when there's nothing you can really do, maybe. I mean, honestly, in the descriptions after this video, if somebody has any experience with scaleless fish, eels, things like that, maybe that would make a difference. Maybe there's something I'm missing. But anyways, just a little bit of a bummer. It's a lot of a bummer. Because he has this is his tank. It's always been his tank. And I'm not gonna say I've never really wanted him, but It was more of a rescue. This is actually a Wallstead tank method tank. This tank has organic potting soil capped with a mix of local gravel, which I collected from the wild, and obviously some stuff that I got from a store somewhere. It's just capped. This is a Wallstead method gravel cap tank. It was supposed to be a planted tank, and then I fell in love with that eel. I wanted to make sure it had a good home, and it had, you know, I knew that some kid was going to get it, and they were never going to put salt in the tank, and they were never going to feed this fish raw seafood, raw meat. In the pet store where I got this from, I asked them, what do you feed this eel? Flake food. They don't know what they're doing. I grabbed him up as fast as I can. He was about 10 inches long, 12 inches long. Now he's about 18 or 19 inches, which is pretty much the full size for a freshwater or a brackish water eel. That's another thing. In the pet stores, they call this thing a freshwater eel. It is not a freshwater eel. It lives in estuaries. It eventually ends up in salt water, and it lives out its life in salt water. And I just hate the idea that pet stores are out selling this fish and calling it a freshwater eel. Yeah, it might survive for a while, but its slime coat is not going to do well without a little bit of salinity. Just like betta fish and other fish that really need a slight tint of salinity in their aquarium. Now, you have a good point there, Zoe, and there could be that. Now, that would be awesome, right? Like, I never actually thought about that. I mean, that would be great, because one of my thoughts was, is this I mean, it wouldn't take her 3 years to give birth to babies, but I was partially thinking, like, is it a female? There's no other fish around here. Eels. But I keep in here, and actually this is what I keep with him in a brackish water environment. I think this water is up to, I'm up to about 20. It's almost full salt water, and I have an Endler guppy hybrid that lives in here in almost full salt water. And I've got little babies everywhere. And the babies aren't stunting out. Some people will say certain fish will, if you try to grow them in salt or breed them in salt water, they will stunt out, but I don't know what that's about. Anyways, that's besides the point. But that's what the other fish you see in here are a guppy Endler hybrid. And anyways, I love Mr. Elliott, and I just hope that maybe things will be fine. Like I said, I have erythromycin in here now. I was thinking to do a water change until I tested the water, and the water is like great. And I have used salt water. I increased the salinity last night because to me and the way I work in my fish room, I feel like the salt would maybe help heal the lesions. Help cauterize and heal the lesions, maybe help them heal. Like I said, this is only 1 or 12 hours or whatever since I've treated the tank. I noticed it about 2 days ago, trying to figure out. I've been online looking at everything, and nobody really knows. Panic here and things like that. I just feel like it's gone a little too far. The looks of it looks kind of painful to me, anyways, when it comes to the look of the lesions. Anyways, I love this little guy. I just, you guys just put a little prayers out there, whatever your faith may be. Put a good positive energy out there for this little guy. Guy or girl, we don't know what sex it is, but Elliot is his name or her name. And like I said, blind as a bat, can't see me, let alone the food in front of his face. But, when you look at him, it just looks like you're looking him in the eye and he's looking back at you. And I've always felt like I've had a connection with him no matter what. And I don't have a lot of fish like that. And that's what the thing is out of all the fish that I have, like, he's just one of those fish that, and guys probably have them too. Whether you, like I said, whether you have like, whatever it might be. I mean, they have those fish that just have character. Besides that, there's a couple other things. I just wanted to go through my fish room. I didn't really want to do like a fish room tour completely, but kind of, sort of. Not like I'm Lucas. I can do it pretty quick. It's just awesome too, at this point in time, being single, having the whole house to myself, I can do what I want when I want. So I'm still dealing with the bacteria bloom in here just a little bit. But it hasn't gotten worse. It's kind of like neutralizing. Things are kind of balancing out in here. That's why you see that there's so little water. I'm not doing a water change because anybody who's ever had a bacteria bloom, a lot of times when you add water, fresh water, it almost feeds the bacteria bloom and makes it worse. So, and I've experienced that. So like, I'm not even adding water to this tank right now. I'm just trying to just slowly let it balance itself out. And maybe I'll do like a drip and slowly add water to this tank and eventually change it up. Lucas will probably freak out. These are yellow King Kongs, and I tested the TDS about 3 hours ago when I was on the phone with a friend that we all know, and it's 500 parts per million in there, and that's a Wallstad method tank. But there's thousands of yellow King Kongs in there. Corydoras shrimp. I don't mean to keep it at 500. I'm sorry, I say 5,000. 500 parts per million. I don't try to keep it that way, but that's just what's happened with the concentration of things in the water column because I haven't done a water change. It's about me trying to combat that bacteria bloom. And I know these Corydoras, I've bred them here in this tank long enough, they can take 500, which seems crazy for Corydoras, but it's working. It's working, you know? I'm trying to get off of Elliot for just a minute because I'm going long, you guys. I'm not going to go long. I'm not going to do an hour-long stream here. I just want to hang out with you guys for a second, share a couple of things, and just walk through the room here. I don't want to just talk about Elliot. I'm not trying to... I would have made a video, but I wanted to make a fun video about another tank, which I'll share with you guys here in a second. But that's just all that's on my mind right now, and I'm just a little bummed because I love the little booger, and I don't want to see him go. This is more of my planted tank, you guys. Got all my, kind of got nuts in here a little bit with plants. I kind of consider it a little overgrown. Some of these plants would probably want a little bit more of their own personal space. And there's a couple other funky things going on in my fish room that I honestly have to share. And I guess I'm just saving it for a live stream because it's not something these guys are getting moved, but I have 2 tanks right now that are dealing with cyanobacteria, or like blue-green algae as most people call it, but I think it's actually more of a cyanobacteria. There's some imperial tetras in there, but you'll never be able to see them because of the blue-green algae on the glass. It pretty much has nuked this tank, taken over everything, and just killed my plants and everything. I think it's due to the fact of a lack of substrate. People forget about that. Like, surface area is the most important thing when trying to create a balanced nitrogen cycle. And a lot of people do not put enough substrate. When I put together this tank this time around, you can't even see the substrate doesn't go past the plastic rim. And that was the problem with this tank. That's where I failed in this setup this time around. I've done other things in this tank before, but the lack of substrate and the lack of surface area is a lack of positive beneficial bacteria to balance out the cycle. This tank has never had a positive cycle. It's always been a little off, and that's why. This tank should have about 3 times as much substrate in it. And that alone would create enough surface area to home bacteria. People think that the beneficial bacteria lives in the water column, and it doesn't. It lives on the surface of things in your aquarium. Anyways. So there's that tank, which is a little bit of a bummer, but that's not crazy because those imperial tetras are actually, they're from Peru, wild caught. We caught them in July of last year. I want to put those, because they are from Peru, and this is my Peruvian kind of blackwater biotope, I want to put them in this tank with these guys. And that's the other end of the story. The other thing that's going on, I don't have a lot of unfortunate things, but I guess I'm going to just put them all into this live stream rather than do a video because it would be horrible for my analytics and it'd just be a depressing video. And I don't want to make a depressing video for you guys. So we're just going to stream about it because live streaming analytics are horrible anyways. So this is my biotope tank, blackwater, obviously. Lots of dried botanicals, bunch of good stuff. I think it's sexy. I love the tannins. I love the color. But I've had a problem, and I don't know if anybody knows about this. I've been trying to look around, and I can't find any specific reasons. But I had a group of 8 CW109 Corydoras, which I collected when I was in Peru in July. I'm down to 2. There were 8. I'm down to 2. And at the same time, before they started dropping off, I noticed that the barbels, I believe is the right word for them, the little barbels, the little whiskers on the Corydora, were disappearing. I thought, what's wrong? Is my sand? I have local sand from the island here, which is originally comes from coral. The parrotfish eat it, creates sand, and that's where the sand comes. Sand comes from is basically parrotfish poop, to be literal. And I thought maybe the sand is too coarse, and the sand is making them rub their barbels, their little whiskers off. And I was looking around on the internet for things like that. The water conditions, it's not that. I test everything, hardness, ammonia, and everything just to make sure. And this tank is healthy. The water column is healthy. But all the barbels, all the little whiskers are gone from them. And then they started dropping off. And now I'm down to 2. And I don't know, like, I'm being honest here, like, these are things that I don't know how to fix. I don't know what I did wrong. I don't know if something that I did wrong, or maybe there's an infection. They are wild caught. I have to keep that in mind. I did quarantine these things like crazy. Technically, even those in that tank, in the blue-green algae, cyanobacteria, are still quarantining. They're the only thing in that tank, and they've been through levels of medications, but I'm not comfortable with them yet, even because I've seen some weird things on the scales, things I'm not sure for sure, so I haven't mixed them with anybody else. But those are probably the craziest things going on for me, is just the fact that my Corydoras, I don't understand why that's happening with the Corydoras, don't do well in copper or salt. I do not, because this is my black water biotip tank, I never add any salinity to this tank. And I don't add any aquarium salt, which would probably be where you would get the copper. I know copper is found in aquarium salt. I never use aquarium salt because I don't want the copper in the water. When I add salinity to my aquariums, I use marine salt, which kind of in certain situations might not be the right, add more hardness, but what you would find in, maybe there's a tiny bit, a trace element of copper, but not like what you would find in aquarium salt. We'll go back to Elliot, but I just want to walk through the room for the fun of it while I got you guys on the stream. I appreciate all of y'all hanging out. I see everybody in here. I'm not ignoring anybody. Dwayne, it's good to see you in here. Lucas, I appreciate you popping in and hanging out. Appreciate all your knowledge and information, and everybody else that's in here. Thank you guys so much. This is just my blue bolt tank, which something I don't want to cross my fingers, but I really don't have any problems with this tank ever. Pretty easy tank. I got my subwasser tank, which I think I got from Lucas a year ago, and they call it Experience. But I'm loving these blue bolts. They're doing really well. I've been selling them as well. There used to be a lot more in here, but I have been selling some of them. I had my A team, which you guys probably saw the video. I had my A team in this aquarium right here. I picked out all the best that were in there, and I put them in this aquarium. And then I had a killifish jump through this crack right here, which I'm pointing it out like I should have fixed it, right? And I did have it. I have it down. I usually have a little thing I put on here for weight or whatnot. I usually put something on there for weight to keep it down. And actually, it usually just pops into place. There we go. Pops into place. Anyways, so it's closed now. But killifish jumped through that crack that you just saw, jumped into this tank, and ate pretty much all of my blue bolts. There's some in there now. There's some babies that finally have come back. They were shrimplets that were hidden and didn't get the wrath of the killifish. So there's still some in there, but they're not what I want because they're babies, and they're babies I would have culled off anyway out of this tank because they were probably shrimplets that were actually bred in that tank before I moved them over, because I didn't have them in here long enough for them to actually be breeding. They weren't in here for like 2 months, so I know that the shrimplets didn't happen, were not conceived in here. So they don't count for me anyways. Those will probably all need to come out. So basically this tank is just for something. I gotta do something else with this tank now. But the killifish are doing good. The only problem with the killifish is I'm not seeing anything happening from them. I'm surprised, but I feel like it's because I have two pairs in here. And one of the pairs is already a breeding pair from Dan. He had bred them many times before, so they got their own thing going on already. I don't think they like the other pair in here. So I really think in order to get them to breed, I'm gonna have to separate the two pairs. These are the Fundulopanchax gardneri killifish. So yeah, and this is a blackwater aquarium. I mean, you guys know me. A lot of my aquariums are brackish or, well, blackwater anyways. I love the tanions. I love the dried botanicals. It actually looks better from this side. If you look at the tank from this side, but you can't see the fish. Anyways, but we'll just go around here. I just want to show you some of the other things. Well, I might as well. I mean, I got 33 y'all hanging out with me, and I really, really appreciate it. I'm probably going to go for another 4 minutes. I should probably keep this like 30 minutes. I really thought I was going to keep it 10 minutes. I don't know what I was thinking. I talked too much. But these, of course, are my local wild guppies, which are from St. John here in the Virgin Islands. I have a couple of groups going out to a couple of different people. I just got to go finish filing some of these permits because I just got to be legal, and I have to have permits with the Department of Natural Resources in order to send them out. It's not a big deal. I just want to make sure I register it so I don't get in trouble later. But these are local wild guppies. I see so much indler characteristics in these guppies. If we were to get close, pull at some of these or put them under a microscope, they're really, really cool. And I think a lot of people might be, there's a lot of people interested in trying to breed them back with some of their other stuff. Another unfortunate thing, which is kind of crazy, not big, it's not a life-threatening thing, but you see a little black stuff there at the bottom. That's all the black string. If you guys watched my video where I tied these mosses to these moss ledges about a week and a half ago, I made a video and put it out. That black string doesn't work. String, I have to say, is out. I thought it was good. It was actually given to me by somebody, I won't say who, but I got this string and I thought, you know, it was given to me to be used in this specific way. And within 5 days, it breaks down and it falls apart. It's not designed to be underwater. It does not work. So I have to delicately pull this out, like the physidens here on the end. This physidens is so kind of fragile. Those are all individual little cuttings. Each one of those little hairs of stuff, strands, is individual. So like, I got to be real gentle to pull this all out, and I'm gonna have to use plastic fishing string. I'm gonna have to use like real fishing line that is not organic and will not break down. That's just a fun fact. Something to realize. String really isn't gonna cut it in the long term. It's just gonna. Ron, it's good to see you up in here. All of you up in here. Crystals, Pets and Plants, K-Town. I'm not trying to ignore any of you guys. This was not meant to be. I mean, it wasn't like a planned out event. Elliot's really bumming me out, and I wanted you guys to see him. I don't know how long he's gonna last. And earlier he was breathing really slow, like labored breathing in a way, not really rushing to breathe. Like you'll see a fish that's gasping for oxygen. It was more like he's just tired and done, and he was breathing very slowly, and it scared me really badly. And it's part of the reason why I'm doing the stream right now, because I don't know if he'll be alive in the morning. It's just a bummer. But anyways, that's my fun tank. I keep all my different specimens of mosses and keep my spare plants in here. And I've been quarantining these fish for 4 months. Collected them from the wild here on the island, and they've been in here for 4 months through multiple regimens of medication, general cure, erythromycin and whatnot, and then their own course of 2 courses of levamisole. And I'm pretty content. I'm content to give them to somebody else and not think that I'm just bringing diseases into somebody else's fish room. You know, that's important to me. Like, there's a responsibility that we take when we do this stuff, and it's not just to have fun. I mean, we're dealing with species, some which are endangered or protected, like this one right here is on the red list. I'm one of the only people in the United States that I know of that has this fish in captivity and is actually breeding this fish. And I'm not gloating about that. I didn't even realize that until I did research, and I was like, wow, I'm like the only person that has this fish right now in captivity in our country, anyways. And I don't know. We have a responsibility with these animals. I don't know. That's just how I look at it. It's not just an entertainment. It's not just a fun fish tank to be in the corner and to look at and go, oh, it's pretty. And that's no. I'm not trying to like belittle anything that anybody else does. It's not like that. I just grew up with fish, and I have this attachment to them. It's no different than a cat or a dog to me. And I feel like when you take it into your home and you bring it into your home and it's part of your life, it's part of your life. No different than this little cat right here. You took the responsibility to bring it into your house, and now you own that responsibility. It's, you know, and they all have feelings, and they all feel stuff physically and mentally, as far as I'm concerned. But these guys are doing good. I got to split these guys soon. I got a video coming out for you guys. I don't want to give too much away on that, but I'm going to go ahead and break these guys up into multiple colonies, because they don't like to be in a colony this big, and they're not going to breed in a colony this big. They prefer to be in colonies like 10 to 15, and that kind of almost induces breeding, because they want to grow at that point. So you want to bring the colony, at least with this tetra, I from what I've learned, is bring this colony down to like 10, like 8 or 10, and then let them in their own tank, and then they'll breed again. And also they put out hormones in the water just like other fish. They'll put out hormones in the water, and that'll keep the smaller fish from growing. It'll stunt the growth of the smaller fish. So I try to do regular water changes to reduce the hormones in the water, and in the end, in order to get these guys to breed again for me, I'm going to have to split them. So they will get split, and the half of them will go into the tank next to them here, which is like, got a whole bunch of hornwort in there. And then I got my tray of tools, which is overloaded up here. But the tank next to it here, this is one of my infusoria tanks. You'll see all the little bugs? Let me put my hands up so I don't shake the camera. See the little bugs swimming around there? That's a little seed shrimp. All the little things on the glass there. This tank is full of protozoa, different microorganisms, and things like that in here. I just put a little bit of a fresh, what you see here in front of you is a fresh load of dried botanicals, and the darker stuff in the back is the little bit older stuff, a little bit more broken down. And in the very back there, you'll see the imperial tetra in the back, the black line and the gold stripe on top, and the imperial tetra, the nigrocinctus. And so I got the female in here alone right now for just a little bit, and then I'm going to add a male here, and the goal is that they will spawn in the leaf litter, and then I will remove the male and female, and the eggs will hatch, and they will live off of the infusoria and all the different protozoa microorganisms that are living within this bed of leaf litter. That's all that's in this tank, is leaf litter. There's no other substrate below that. But it can happen that way with guppies. I don't know if that's why it happens with shrimp, but I know that like Neocaridina shrimp, sometimes you'll see that if you have them in a small tank and you let that colony just go, they'll start to dwarf out in the tank, which I do have going on. Like if I go back in here and this tank, I have Neocaridina shrimp, and you see these little guys down here at the bottom, and like they're not very big. Like they're not super big. They're not big compared to is this my giant willow moss? Oh, can you see it? I got this from Lucas at Aquashella. It's in the front, that moss. I really love this stuff. It's the giant willow moss. And when I get plants in, like when I get moss and stuff, I don't just put it all into one tank. It's like putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. I'll take a little bit and put it in a bunch of different tanks, right? Because every tank is kind of like its own ecosystem. And I've noticed in past experiences that like one plant might do good in one of your tanks, but not in some of the other tanks. And in order to preserve that species in my fish room, I break it up. So I've got this willow moss. I got it from Lucas, and I have it in like 4 different tanks. So like at least one of those tanks, it will thrive. And then I will preserve that species in my fish room for the future. I got this as well over here, the corkscrew val, or this, the Vallisneria spiralis. I got that from Lucas as well, that corkscrew, that grass in the front. Hold on. This is a Wallstad tank as well. So this is a gravel cap of that cheap garbage black painted quartz crystal. You can see the paint's coming off because the shrimp and the snails, they're eating it off. And you see the white quartz crystal, but that's just a white quartz crystal, black painted gravel. The cheap stuff. It's all I had available when I set this tank up here on the island. But there's a organic Miracle-Gro potting soil at the bottom of this tank. The Rotella, well, that's easy. The Rotella does well in here, but I'm happy with my 2 crypts in there too. Those crypts are healthy. Anyways, everybody's running away, but it's late, and I expected that. I didn't really expect anybody to be in here. At the same time, I've already gone over 6 minutes over my 30 minutes, which I said I was gonna do, and that's just what it is. Anyways, I'm glad you guys popped in for a little bit. You know, just a little bit bummed about Elliot. That's really what the whole video is about. Normally I would just make an edited video, I would do my thing, but I don't want to sit here and make an edited video about Elliot dying. But just could put some positive energy out there. I'm going to continue to keep the water parameters good, continue to do what I can to medicate, and honestly, if any of you have any experience working with truly scaleless fish and internal infections and stuff like that, maybe you could throw me some information in the comments or Facebook or anywhere else. It would be very, very appreciated. I love this little guy and I don't want to see him go. It just doesn't look good. And from my experience in fish keeping, it's like we know when it's bad. And it looks bad, or I wouldn't be making this video right now. And you know, and the water changes, I can do that. I've got in the other room right now, I mean, I could do a water change tonight. In this room right now, I've got 45 gallons of RODI water ready to go in there right now that I made last night. But yeah, I can definitely do a water change on him. I just had done tests on the water, and the ammonias, nitrates, nitrites, everything's like 0. It's not like the water is like ammonia spike or something like that and it's eating him up. There's something inside of him. There's something going on inside of him. And from the research that I've found about eels, I mean, they grow up, this was wild caught more than likely. When it comes to the pet industry, eels like this, they're just collected in Thailand in the mud and thrown into bags and put into the pet trade. They go to Seagrass, they go to Sun Pets, and they end up in a tank and blah blah blah. But this guy was probably collected from the wild out of a muddy grassland somewhere in Thailand or something, and who knows what he was carrying. I mean, I've medicated him, but I've also been a little light on medications because he is scaleless, and I'm trying to be sensitive to that fact. So anyways, there's that too. So I mean, I love the little guy. I've given him an awesome life, and you know, he gets everything he ever wants. I'm gonna defrost some shrimp. I didn't do it before the stream, and I wasn't really thinking about it, but I'll defrost some more shrimp. I'm gonna feed this guy again tonight. Just make sure he's eating good. Maybe that'll help give him some extra energy to maybe heal. I will take Dwayne's advice because there's nothing else I can do, and it can't hurt. I'll do a nice healthy water change on him. I did add salt, so which means I'm gonna I will have to remineralize and add more salt to get it back where I want it, because as far as I'm concerned, really the salt is gonna be, in my experience with fish keeping, salt comes first always. I always go with salt first, and I don't use aquarium salt because of the copper in it. I always, and this is just me, I'm not telling other people what to do, and I don't want anybody to hold me to it, but I prefer marine salt, and I always use marine salt when I medicate first, and then I go from there. And different doses depending on what we're dealing with. Like catfish, we all know catfish can't take salt, so you can give them salt. When we quarantine fish in Peru, and when I've quarantined catfish and I've used salt, you just don't use like a third of what you normally would use with a scaled fish and another fish that are not catfish. But anyways, everybody put your prayers out there, your thoughts, your energy. Rachel O'Leary, what are you doing awake? Now you guys are, it's all really like, it's early for you guys. For me, it's 11 something here. This is super late to me. Anyways, just put your thoughts and your prayers out there, your energy. I don't care what your religion or where you stand on any of that. Just put your good energy out for Mr. Elliott. I'm gonna do some extra water changes. And like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and feed him again tonight. Can make sure he gets the energy that he needs. Rachel, I was just letting everybody know, I don't normally do streams like this. I'm all about being, I'm an artist. I'm all about doing it nice, but I just had to throw this in there. I came home today and I have seen it for a couple of days, but my moray, brackish water moray snowflake eel has an infection around his anal area. It's not just a redness or swelling, but there's actually some internal looking lesions that are coming from the interior, and if anything, his opening of his anal area is enlarged due to the lesion-like activity that's going on there. And so I consider that more of like a secondary infection maybe to some kind of parasitic thing that's happening internally. And I just don't want to see anything go through pain, you know? Like I love all of my fish, no different than a cat or a dog. And I just, to think that he's in pain and suffering or like literally being eaten. Now you can, okay, there we go, you guys. Now he's coming out so you can see what I'm talking about. I don't want to get him excited. Well, I'm going to feed him anyways, but if we can see it right there, his anal area right there in the center of the shot, it should normally always be a little white around it, and it is, but it's just a little bit protruding and reddish. I have metronidazole. I treated last night with erythromycin because I was just kind of going for more antibacterial, but after water change tonight, I definitely want to do a nice water change again after I feed him, because eels are pretty finicky. If they get stressed out or irritated, they won't eat. So like before I ever do anything to this tank, I always feed him first so I don't freak him out, because then he won't eat after that experience. He's gone up to, about a year ago, he went 3 months without eating. And they can go that long. They can fast that long and they're fine. Like I said, his breathing looks better than earlier today. And that's why I did this video, because when I was watching his breathing, it was really slow. And that's what scared me so bad, because I was like, he's on his way out, combined with this infection. I just wish I could show it to you guys. It's not something that you want to see. It's not pretty, but it's the reality of what's going on here. Anyways, I don't want to ramble on anymore. I'm at 45 minutes. I really only wanted to keep this like a 10, 20-minute thing. But it's nice to see stuff coming in here, some of the chats and some of the information, because that's really why I'm on here. Just to save a fish's life, you know. Like, this is not my thing. I usually have, I feel like I've been blessed. I usually have really good luck with guys, because my fish always come first. And you know, like I said before, this is one of those fish, you know, you might have a school of something, or you might have a colony of guppies, okay, 1 or 2 die, whatever. But when you have that one fish that's like the one fish, like Elliott, this is his tank. He's got some Endler guppy hybrids in here, but besides that, this is Elliott's tank. And he eats raw meat. And it's his tank, you know? And I love the little booger. And like I said, Elliott, he's named after Elliott the Magic Dragon, which I think is very fitting. But I love this little guy. I don't want to see him in any pain and suffering. I will definitely, like I said before, I'm going to go ahead. I'll do a water change tonight. I'm going to remineralize, make sure the salinity isn't any lower than it was when I did it last night, and then I will also medicate as well. But I don't know. In my mind, to me, the salinity is going to be the best thing to help him. Because that's the biggest failure with these brackish water eels. A lot of people get into this. They get an eel at the pet store, and the pet store says it's fresh water, and they just leave it in fresh water, and then it's a scaleless fish. And without a certain little pinch, at least a little pinch of salinity throughout its life, eventually they're going to get a slime coat infection, like a betta fish would, and they're going to get stressed out from that, and then they're going to stop eating, and then they're going to starve to death, and they're going to die, and they're going to die within 3 to 4 months usually. And that's why I got him. Oh, there you can see it. See it? See how infected and red and swollen it is. And you can even see the pinkish reddishness right there. I mean, he turned, but see how red and swollen it is, and that whole the opening is never that big, and that's where it's like a lesion. It's like there's some internal thing going on there, but it's just a bummer because I don't want to lose him, and I don't want to. It's not even about selfishly me losing him. It's about the fish suffering. To think that he's in pain and he's hurting from that, that's what hurts me more than anything. I don't want him to sit there and suffer. If I knew that like he's suffering and there was no way out, you'd prefer something like some kind of euthanization or something, because like I don't want him to suffer. I don't want him to feel the pain. I don't want him to just live for another 2 weeks and just live in pain and suffer either. That's what's crazy. It's for me, like, these are they're not my animals. I keep them and I'm protecting them. They're part of nature. I don't own them in a way, I just don't know. I just don't want to see him suffer. That's all. I just wanted you guys to see. It's never protrudes like that. Where is it? Anyways, I gotta get off of you guys. I'm almost turning this into an hour stream, and that was not my plan. But anyways, thank you guys so much for hanging out. I appreciate all of you hanging out. Okay, can you see that? See how it's really open. The hole is way too big. It never used to look like that. And it's all red around the outside. That's not normal. And I just, to me, that's a sign. There's something going on. There's something going on inside. He's not happy. That can't feel good. That has to hurt. That has to hurt. I mean, it's always been like a sphincter. It's always been closed. It's always been there. It's as, but it's never been open like that. It's never been open and abscessed and like have the lesions around the edge. You can tell the tissue is damaged around the outside. Anyways, I don't know. And I've had a lot of fish, and I don't know that that's something that because it looks like it's coming from the inside, and if I can't, whatever. It would be funny if we look back at this a year from now and he's fine and he's healed from it. That would be awesome. At first I thought maybe it was because he's brushing up against all these rocks, right? But he's been in this tank for 3 years and nothing like that's ever happened. I've always wanted to put him in a tank with a little bit more sand, a sand bottom, because I didn't build this tank for him. This tank is actually another Wallstead tank. It's got dirt in the bottom and a cap. This was supposed to be a planted little aquascape. And then I saved him from the fish store, and it became his home and turned brackish. So I always thought, at first, like I said, I thought it was the rocks. Maybe the rocks are abrasive and they're rubbing on him and it's messing with him. But you can tell that that's internal. Something's going on. It's not an external thing. It's not just from rubbing on the rocks. Or I would have seen that years ago. So, anyways, all right. You guys cross your fingers, put the good thoughts out there for Mr. Elliot, the brackish water snowflake eel. I love this little booger. He's a good guy. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. I really do appreciate it. All of you, Jason, Fish Tropics, trolling me. Trolling me. And let's see, Tampa Tom, thank you for Gary West. Thank you. Pond Life, it's good to see you in here as well. Everybody, Shelby, Rachel, I appreciate her popping in for a second there. I appreciate everybody's information, any of their input. It means so much to me. You know, it's all about the fish. It all comes back to the fish. It's all about the fish. And I'm going to check up on some of the stuff she mentioned. She mentions some other antiparasitics and things like that. So I'll definitely look into that as well. Haley, it's good to see you in here. Go to bed. Everybody, thank you guys so much. The Cove, appreciate you popping in. All of you guys. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You know, this is not my regular thing. You see my studio back behind me. This is where it all comes from. All the lights, the camera, and the computers. This is the behind the scenes where all the magic happens. But anyways, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. You're my friends, fellow fish keepers, fish nerds, and we're all in this together. And I appreciate all of your support and all of your knowledge. And I do have aqua char, and it's in this tank over in like 29-gallon bow face behind me. And I'm not gonna say I'm a fan of the aqua char. You gotta rinse the crap out of it. I've got like glitter and metallic on the surface of my water, and I rinse this thing 20 times. You see that film on the surface? That's from the aqua char. And I rinse that stuff 20 times before I put it into a bag and I put it into the HOB on the back there. So I don't know about that. I might put the aqua char in a canister, 10-inch canister filter, and add it to my Monster RODI system and add it as just an extra carbon block. I'm not going to say it's bad stuff, but I don't like it in an HOB. It takes a lot of filtering, and it's going to muck up your water with a lot of microscopic pieces of carbon because they're selling you pretty much just charcoal, you know, which is probably better than the reconstituted, compressed stuff that you're going to get from other people. Technically, it probably is better. I agree with that, but it's not that easy to handle and maintain and keep clean. It's going to be some maintenance in that. Just processing it and rinsing it like crazy before you put it into a hang on the back filter or something, because all those little microscopic particles of charcoal are going to end up in your aquarium for about a week or two until everything balances out and they disappear. Anyways, Priscilla, how are you? Good to see you here as well. Anyways, this is a totally abnormal stream for me. You know, I like to be all professional, have all the lights on, and have the fun and all the good stuff. But reality is reality sometimes, and it is what it is. And reality is Elliot is sick, and I don't know what I'm going to be able to do. I'm going to handle this a little bit. I'm going to do the water change. I will do the metronidazole. On top of the erythromycin as well, and see what I can do. But Priscilla, my brackish water snowflake eel, Elliot is not happy. He's suffering from a severe infection of the anal area and lesions and whatnot, and he doesn't look very good. He's got plenty of energy and plenty of an appetite, but his rear end does not look good. Which, if you watch the replay, you'll see it. I can't wait for him to swim around and show it to you, and I don't want to really harass him either. But that's the reality of it, and whatever. Things happen. I feel blessed because this kind of thing rarely happens for me, and I'm nobody special. I've just been lucky. I do keep an arsenal of medications, and my goal is just, when I bring things into my house, I medicate them first, quarantine them, take things slow. I have some fish in my house that have been in quarantine for 4 to 6 months. I have imperial tetras that have been in quarantine since July, August, or September, whenever I received them from Peru, and they're still in quarantine. So I try to do what I can, but things happen. Keep in mind, this is an eel. Like I said, it was collected from the mud in Thailand, probably wild caught somewhere in some muddy puddle in Thailand somewhere. So who knows what it was carrying? Who knows if I managed to kill everything? Trying to respect the fact that it was a scaleless fish and not just dumping tons of medications on it at a time. Maybe I just never really killed something that was going on inside of its intestinal tract, and 2 years later it's overcoming the fish. So I don't know. Anyways, but thank you guys so much. My phone's about to die as well. It's telling me it's about to crash on me. But I don't know. I love you guys. I appreciate all of your support. You guys are my fish club. You're my fish community. I'm stuck on this little rock in the middle of the Caribbean. But once again, thank you guys so much for all your support and everything. And if you have any ideas about anything, if you know something that I don't know in regards to scaleless fish, eels, things like that, ghost fish, whatever, they're kind of pretty similar, I think, in regards to how they handle certain medications and things. If you know anything, just let me know in the comments below after the stream is over. Contact me on Facebook, anything. If you know, it's all about keeping Elliot, this eel, alive. That's all that matters right now. Anyways, but thank you guys so much. It's super late. You guys have a wonderful evening. We'll do my regular, normal, happy-go-lucky live stream on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Besides that, like I said before, I love you guys. I appreciate all your support and everything. And you guys have a wonderful evening. And remember, keep your tanks clean, your fish fed, and have fun.